Hi, I'm Chris Cimino. Welcome to another episode of I Meant to Tell You. On this week's show, a very unique relationship between a father and his son, and the words that son never had the opportunity to tell his dad before it was too late. Also, an interesting story of perseverance in getting through being a prisoner of war in World War II. There's lots to see in this one. Hope you enjoy it.
Hi, I'm Ken from Weehawken in New Jersey. I meant to tell you stories about my dad, Lionel. He was a simple soul with a heart of gold, but who, unlike me, never wore his heart on his sleeve. He bottled his emotions very deeply. Well, there came a point in my life where I decided to have a real man-to-man talk with him, but sadly, that never happened. Thank you in advance for listening to my story. I hope it gives you the strength and courage to speak up if you've got something important to say. I was adopted. My father and I never really had a close bond. We didn't really see eye to eye on many things, and I understand why. Genetically, we were completely different. He took to alcoholism, unfortunately, because as I only realized many years later in my life, he was suffering severe pain, PTSD from the war, unlike anything you can imagine. And that's what I meant to talk to him about. What I really wanted to say to my dad was, we're very different for so many reasons, for a variety of reasons. I want to reach for the stars. You're a simple soul. You'll give your shirt off your back to anybody who may need it. You're kind and you're caring. I'm not saying I'm not, but I am saying that he was kind to a fault, where he would give you the shirt off his back if you needed it. I really wanted to tell him, and if there's a whole universe of him out there somewhere, I hope he's listening to this right now. War, it's so cruel. It's so cruel on people who survive. But back then, in the Second World War and until recent times, men were men, for God's sake. You never talked about your emotions, you never talked about your feelings, you never put your heart on your sleeve and said, damn, I feel depressed, I feel miserable, I'm upset, I'm unhappy, and here's why. See, if only he had done that, perhaps we could have had a stronger bond. Perhaps I could have understood more. Perhaps I could have realized what he had gone through as a boy, fighting the Battle of El Alamein for the Allied forces, being a prisoner of war, and then having to escape in the winter snow with summer fatigues on and walk with just a schoolbook map to Rome to be saved. If I'd have known all of those things, if he'd have just opened himself up and given dialogue as to how he felt internally, life may have been a lot less difficult between him and I. So I'll conclude by saying, I wish that I'd have told him in the living years that he was okay. He did his best. It may not have been the best, but it was his best. And he was okay. He didn't need to drown his sorrows in alcohol. He didn't need to withdraw into this pit of hell where he kept himself until his dying day. He really just needed to talk about it. And you out there, if you can draw any inspirational message from listening to my I Meant to Tell You story, talk. If you're in a situation where you feel depressed, miserable, if you're suffering any form of PTSD, it's okay to open your mouth. It's okay to say, I don't feel good inside, and here's why. Because somebody will listen, and it might just help you see a path of light ahead of you, as opposed to living in darkness, as I know my father did for many, many, many years. I wish I'd have time to have told him. Thank you for listening.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that episode, but we have a part 2, the full detailed story about how Kenn's dad escaped World War II, being a prisoner of war through Italy. It's a fascinating story and very touching as well. I hope you'll tune in for that one. That's coming up in the next couple of weeks. Once again, thanks so much for spending some time with I Meant to Tell You.